Right, let's see what I got here. Okay, cars are just warming up. Neutral position works. That's good. Power steering switch is stuck on. Okay, so that's gonna fuck with the idle. So the idle target's gonna be high, and idle's gonna dip when we turn the wheel. So that explains why my engine speed right now is almost 800, because power steering usually adds about 50 to it or so. Let's see. Is this the one that's working? What map did I put on this car? Fuck, it's been a while. What is this one? This one is... O50R. O50R. Okay, so that's this one. 6005. 6005. Okay, this is the tune that's on it. Alright. Idle's kind of wonky right now. It occasionally goes, ugh, and it, like right there, and just did it. Look at that. That change in... Something created a big change in load. Air fuel just started going a little haywire. I'm questioning if this car has either a bad fuel pressure regulator, which is very common on these, or if we're looking at an issue with O2 sensor, which is also really common on these. TDO4HL. Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't think so. Let me double check. I literally just got in the car, and I made a base map for him a long time ago, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with it. I started a tune for it, and it misbehaved, and I'm still trying to figure out why it's misbehaving a little bit. So it's been so long since I started it, I don't recall. Yeah, let me find out. What's this guy's name? Ryan? I think it's Ryan. It's a 205. Yeah, here we go. It's a 207 AC. Yep, we know that. His email never says. Alright, well, I'll make the long journey all the way to the engine bay to find out what it is. Just for you. Just kidding. Obviously, it has to happen before I get to that point of the tune. That doesn't affect idle. Sorry, one sec. Yeah, well, that's what the HL stands for. It's switched turbines in it. Oh, right. I remember now. I don't know what turbo is. It's something that's painted red. That's right. It looks like an IHI that's on painted red. Yeah, it's an IHI. So it's a VF. I'm guessing it's like a Hills Country or some stupid shit like that. Ported one. It's usually a lot of people have really been buying into that porting the turbo bullshit. Alright. So it's a VF. But you can't tell what it is because it's been painted. It just says IHI on it, and it's got the normal fat compressor on it. So it's going to be like a... Well, it doesn't matter. They all have the same wheels. 34, 35, 39, 43, 48, 52, 54. They all got the same compressor wheels and stuff on them, so it doesn't matter. All right. Well, let's set the tack. So I got the hiccups. Throttle cable's tight. Probably a routing thing. Probably needs to be routed a little better. Looks like tip-in's a little on the lean side. Oh shit, I can't even see that. I got the wrong glasses on. Holy moly. Thanks, Brooke. Alright, so you can see that I had some feedback knock while I was just trying to hold it around 6,000 or at 60 miles an hour. So I'm curious to see again what the parameters are when that's happening. So I want to address that. A little bit of knock at atmospheric pressure is really no big deal. That's not usually the thing I'm concerned with, but it can give me an idea if I have other issues that could be a window into that. But if it's consistent, it's like right now as let's see, let me go back. If you watch the AF correction in the upper left and the learning there, you see it's got a little bit of a positive trend to it. Now I shouldn't have that because this is a known MAF scale with a clean mass airflow sensor. It's a known injector and known injector scale and all that, so this shouldn't be an issue. However, it is a dark blue injector, and a dark blue injector does behave a little bit differently than a pink. And the data from like an 07 STI, where these injectors come from, plugged into this ECU, it isn't a straight crossover. It doesn't quite work, so it does take some tweaking in there. Now, add in that this is also now a open source tune. It's a different scale process than COP, for example. The biggest thing being that in the Subaru ECU, the injector scaling is not in cc's per minute. In the open source software, they merely took the Subaru scaling and applied an equation to it to make it an approximation in cc's per minute, but that is not how the Subaru ECU works. That is not what it uses. It does not use that at all. And so that's really important to know. So when you put a cc per minute value in open source, it is not correct. A 550 injector is not a 550 cc in open source. It does not correlate. Is it close? Yeah, it's close-ish, but it's off by 5 to something percent. Like, it's not the correct value. So 1,000cc injectors, you won't be putting 1,000cc's in there. 800cc, you won't put 800. 550s, you don't put 550 in there. Because it's not how, well, for one, it's not how injectors work. Let's just get that out there, right? That's not how injectors work. I want to rephrase what I just said. What I want to say is that ECUs do not look at just cc's per minute as a flow rate of the injector because they don't care about that. What they care about is mass flow rate of the injector. And a cc is not a unit of mass. Cc is a unit of volume. So that's why when you see GM injectors, people say pounds per minute. That's actually a unit of mass, or pounds per hour, I'm sorry. It's actually a unit of mass. And the ECU wants a unit of mass. And so, since injectors are often sold as cc's per minute based on the test fuel that it is, but temperature changes with the fuel will change all that stuff. I'm sorry, we'll change the mass. But based on the fuel, a lot of the software companies are forced to put a cc per minute in their software to match the way the injectors are being sold. But from that point, that value is only used to convert to a mass value using the density of the fuel that's being used and the temperature of the fuel being used and all of that. So the Subaru ECU skips that altogether, and the Subaru ECU scaling is not a volumetric flow scaling, it's a mass flow scaling that somebody has put a conversion on in the open source software to give you an approximate flow volumetric flow scaling. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's not accurate either. The conversion is not accurate, and the conversion varies based on fuel density. So you can take your scaling from Japan and go to the US, and the fuel difference can create a different scaling for the injectors because the ECU does not have a way of knowing that the fuel density is different between Japan and the US. There. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's a roundabout way of saying, or it's I don't say roundabout because it's the accurate way of saying it. It's just it's easier to say it's not a volumetric flow scale and then just get that out. But for someone to understand why, I guess I have to go through the explanation. So yeah, they're not a volumetric flow scale. In fact, I think I told. No, it wasn't Alpha Centauri. It was one of the other students that I had to explain that to just recently. Hello from Boise, Christian Darosa. Thank you very much for coming to the channel. You see here, I got this trend here, this learning trend. I got a little bit of lean correction, and as I tip in, you see it's lean as I tip in as well. And that's going to stem from a couple things. One of them is that I haven't done tipping yet. This is a base map. And it's got dark blues and not pinks. Our density of fuel is different than density of fuel in Japan, and a bunch of things like that. So I will be addressing that. You can add the ECU def to not apply that inaccurate transform, just use the raw ECU values so you can use ID values direct. Do you mean Cobb values? Or what? Because ID does... oh yeah, ID does have the scale. You're right. Yeah. So, and you can use the Cobb Subaru ID thing. Correct. Yeah. And that's a good idea. But this car has factory injectors, so that's just what it is. But now I finally figured out which map was on it, because I had to figure out which map I put on this car. I'm going to take a look at my fuel stuff and see how I have it set right now. So the latency should be latency, right? That shouldn't vary drastically from one ECU to another, but it can vary based on how the injector gets power, based on the flyback circuit, as well, how well it shuts as well. So that kind of stuff can affect the latency and can affect the flow. So right now I have it set to a pink injector flow rate, and we know that these don't flow pink injector flow rates. So since it doesn't have pinks, I need to lower this value a little bit. Right now it's set at 552 in the open source program, which is about what a 565 pink would flow. But again, that's based on the fuel density in Japan, the transform that they put into this value and all that. So it's really hard with this to have just these arbitrary numbers, but you know, that is what it is. Now, you can alter the def like he said, but I think I would have to go into every def, right? Oh no, because I think it'd be probably in the master 16-bit def. Yeah. Edit map definition. Estimated flow rate, gasoline only. Yeah, okay. Can I change that in here? I don't know if I've ever... I haven't done it before in this software. I haven't had to do it. Oh, yeah, lots of stuff in here. I've never changed this direction. I've always gone into the XML file and changed it. Injector flow scaling's name. Yeah, I've never done it through this menu. I've only done it with the XML. I've just gone in there and changed it that way. So I would not know how to turn it off, to be completely honest with you. Multiplier. Okay, just go to 1. Scaling here. What's this window? This thing is whacked out. Something with the Java going on, because it is. There's windows in front of windows and pull down menus in front of other pull down menus. Raw ECU value. Here we go. Let's try that. 19. No, probably not that. The injector flow constant is now 19 under here, so apparently I did not do that correctly. Whoops, that was the wrong button. Well, whatever. I don't have to do it. It's not what I need to worry about right now. Yeah, I did. I changed to not use the scaling and it put it to 19. So I don't think that's quite the answer I'm looking for. Hey, Mark, thanks very much. Things are great. I'm having a great day. Having a great day. Some fun stuff going on. I'm feeling very, very, very good about what the future may bring for the first time in a long time. So things are good. Okay, so I'm going to change that. And then I'm going to check my tip in a little bit. I hate when it does that. I feel like when I go into something and I change it and it goes back to the same value, that it's being told to average it too much, that the definition of it isn't fine enough. Boy, my brain is not working. The increments are too large. So, like, for example, I want to do the tip and enrichment based on throttle change, and it's 1.6 from the factory, and I want to change it down to like 1.4 or 1.2, and it won't do anything until I get down to 1.0, and that's too sensitive on the 16-bit ECU because it'll cause hesitations. It'll activate while you're driving it. So yeah, once again. Hello, Don speaking. Yep. Yay. Yay. No.
One thing that I saw, but then I was seeing oil in other places. So I had done the RTV like 2 weeks prior before starting the car and driving it and stuff, and then drove the car like 250 miles or so, and I was having those leaks, so I pulled the motor out completely instead of, even though I just saw the valve cover, I was like, well, it looks like maybe the front of the rear main still might be leaking. So pulled the motor back out, pulled the oil pump off, the rear main all apart now, and the whole, completely undid everything. And RTV was still wet.
The RTV was?
Yeah.
Around the pan and stuff?
Yeah, around the pan, around the oil pump, around the rear main housing.
Yeah, what
It was all still wet.
What RTV was it?
Huh?
Which RTV was it?
It was ultra gray.
Ultra gray? Yeah.
This time I did Toyota. So.
Yeah, the Toyota bond stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the ultra gray stays wet for a long time, and that's not beneficial when you're trying to get an engine to seal up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it said like wait an hour before you torque it down to spec, and I waited like an hour and a half just to be safe. And yeah.
That's crazy. It's still
2
wet.
weeks and driving it for a couple hundred miles.
Yeah.
It was still wet.
No wonder it was leaking.
So, yeah, it was it could have been maybe an old bottle or something, or I'm wondering if maybe the block was just too cold at this time, and so it didn't get like the oxygen or something for the reaction for it to harden up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this time around,
I mean, I'm sure your garage is pretty cold right now.
Yeah, well, this time I had my fire going, and I got a 240 volt heater that I had blowing on all my parts on the motor. I got the block up to about like 75, 80 degrees and all the parts.
Nice.
And I did it that way.
Yeah.
So, didn't want to mess around.
No, for sure. That's great. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah. It's, man, I'm on the third or fourth motor, pulling it out and putting it back in.
Oof.
In the last few years. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was
But
just able to drive,
just think of how much you're learning about it.
Yeah, I'm definitely learning a lot.
Yeah.
Getting quick at it. So, yeah, I I drove a little bit. I drove like 25, 30 miles. Nick was with me, and since he messed with EC Masters on his MR2, he just adjusted the idle a little bit because we were idling a little high and
Sure.
not very smooth, just with like, I'm sure the cam and other stuff going on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so he was able to adjust that. The AFRs were pretty rich, so he brought it up to about 15 at idle, versus it was at like 12. So it was,
yeah, that's expected. Yeah. You put a bigger cam in there at either, you're going to bring less air in. So
that makes sense. So yeah, he just smoothed that like 0 to 1500 RPMs or something, or 0 to like 1800,
nice.
And then that's it. So just so it doesn't try to die on me.
Yeah. I'm not offended.
Yeah.
It's your car.
Yeah, and then if I get off work early enough, I'm going to try to grab some E85, and then drive to Newport again and Sandpoint and try to get another couple hundred miles on it either today or tomorrow. At least get up to the 500 point, and then I'll do that other oil change. And yeah, we'll be good to go for Tuesday. I might drop it off. Actually, no. I should be good to go to where I can just drive it up, because I requested it that day off. Or you said 1 o'clock is our appointment.
Let me double check. Come on, phone. My phone does not recognize me all of a sudden. There it goes. Okay, let's see. We're 1 o'clock on Tuesday.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I have 1 o'clock and through the rest of the day off. And then worst case, if I have like a lead that seems like it's going to take too long, I'll just drop it off the night before just in case. But I won't know until Monday night. So, yeah, and then I'm excited for you to see. It's quite a big difference, at least as far as the look of the engine bay. Since you last saw it, I painted with painting the engine bay and stuff, and I had some titanium stuff. There's still some more to go, but yeah, I'm excited.
Cool.
A little bit more powder coating done.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And then, yeah, and then I also have an appointment to get my exhaust taken care of. I mean, I could have Lane do it. Is it Lane?
Lane, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I could have him do it, but I'm not sure. Last time, just to like adjust the downpipe, it was like $350.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of hours.
Yeah, so, and I'm gonna bring a different exhaust and basically have it put on. I mean, it's like 8 inches too long. It was for my SC300, so it basically just needs to be shortened up. It's like the same exact angles and everything. It just needs to be shortened up like 8 inches, and then get the fitting to the flange to match.
Yeah.
So I guess I could ask him what he would think about that, but he's probably busy.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. They definitely would not be able to do it before the tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have anything available until the 21st. I was looking at the schedule earlier today. Yeah.
Are they? Well, and it shouldn't really affect the tune since it's straight pipe either way. The muffler is just basically different.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's as long as we're not changing the flow.
Yeah, I mean, it really shouldn't, just besides the muffler having maybe a little bit different backplane or something, but yeah, it's all the same, just a higher quality exhaust pipes the whole way back, and then a different muffler.
Cool.
Yeah. I haven't set up the anti-lag switch, so I'm gonna try to figure that out in the next couple days.
Okay.
And get that going, but yeah, should be good to go.
Right on. Well, I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday.
Awesome. See you then.
Sounds good, dude. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Supra. Yes, you saw that right. That's the key for the car. It's a screwdriver. His column stuff is all screwed up. So if you were like, why has he got that big green screwdriver? This is the key. Christian Mopar bond. Huh. What's that one made of? Is it the same as like an Ultra Gray or Yon Bond or Honda Bond or what? I'm not familiar with Mopar Bond. All right, now I changed the injector scaling. I made the injector scaler lower, so it should add some fuel. I made the tip-in a little more aggressive, just a tiny little bit. That should add a little fuel and tip-in. And previously, the MAFCAL had a little bit of air added at idle, and so now it's rich at idle, which is what we'd expect because I should be able to lower that MAFCAL back down closer to stock, but had a little bit added to it. So next flash, I will bring the idle part of the mass scale down to about factory, and that should hopefully fix the richness of idle. Now we're still seeing some leanness at tip-in, still not getting enough fuel at tip-in. Still not digging that. I mean, it's not like it's, oh my god, it's so lean. It's just not right. And obviously I want it to be right. Also, the power steering needs to be fixed. The switch for that, because the idle's dorked up from that. It's always on. And let's see, what else we got? Alright. Check that tip-in again. It's still a little low on tip-in. But that could be that regulator I was worried about, because if you were here early on, you would have seen how the idle was messed up. The air fuel would suddenly change at idle. It acted like you were turning on a large load like AC or something like that, the headlights, and then it would make a big change to both the idle speed control duty and the fueling. So I don't know what's causing that, but it is a bit of an inconsistency. All right, let's bring it back to that RPM again at 60. All right, no time pulls that time. Okay, I'm gonna reference boost pressure. It went really high on that, just a little blip I did. So we're gonna watch boost pressure and the O2 sensor. Now this O2 sensor is pre-turbo, so it's not gonna be accurate once we get into, after like 7 pounds of boost. I'll have to go to the dyno O2 and see, but what I want to check is that as I apply some load, so down in the manifold relative pressure area here, as I apply a load, that the air-fuel ratio dips rich soon enough. It doesn't stay lean. So here we are, atmospheric. Now we're going 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds. It's in the 12s, so it's not staying lean. So that's good. And let's see. I had one little bump on the feedback knock as that started to happen. Okay, so I made it angry. We see that the ignition advance multiplier dropped a little bit. I didn't really catch it though. It must have just been briefly. I mean, it goes pretty rich. There's that one spot right here, so I'll be able to review that in the log and see in the learning tables. I'm gonna look at this now. Interrupt log and read learning tables. Yes. Where exactly did that come in at? That came in at the exact location. I just pulled like 5 degrees of timing out. 1.5 to 209. That range at 2,700 to 3,900 RPM. So I just pulled a bunch of timing out of that zone. and it's still doing the same exact thing. I think it pulled like 5 or 6 degrees out right there. So I'm not buying that it's going to be a timing-based knock event. I mean, it might not even be real knock. This car's got solid engine mounts, literally solid blocks of aluminum for engine mounts. So I'm getting a massage sitting right here. So I'm going to check that fuel. The fuel I feel like is a smidge late to richen up as we get into some load. Just a little bit. So you see here, we're like really in 5 PSI before it gets down to the 13s. So it's a smidge late in richening up. So I'm going to check the open loop, closed loop thresholds and see if it's transitioning quick enough, or see if I can adjust how fast it's transitioning. You got to be careful with this though, because you go too aggressive on these. Oh yeah, these are pretty high still. You go too aggressive on these and you can find yourself stuck in open loop all the time. Now that's a slightly different scenario than Alpha had the other day, right? Because you had your fuel enrichment was set too high, and that was pushing it past your threshold for your open loop, closed loop thresholds. But if you set the throttle too low or the delay too low, and then when your throttle just gets close to it, bloop, it'll kick out on you. So you gotta be careful with that. Can't make them too aggressive. Alright, so I just made them a little more aggressive. I'm going to go to my open loop fuel map and see where I have that set. And then we're going to look and see. So at that one point, yeah, okay, so this one row, I could add a little fuel in this one row here. Okay. So I add a little fuel to that area. Looks like it's a...
Can cables twist or no twist?
The signal, the high and low,
Yeah.
Always twist.
Always twist, that's what I thought.
Yes, but not the power and ground.
and ground, not twist.
Not twist, right. Okay, I'm going to bring that MAF down at idle, I think. Yeah. Get to put that back towards stock, which is usually, what, 116, I believe, on the bottom. And, oh, it's not. It's 131. I guess I didn't end this one. Of course, this is the JDM MAF scale. Yeah, we'll use the US MAF scale on this. We use the same voltage, just has a difference at idle. Basically the low load is different. And the mid-range load is 187, 13, 5, 187, 13. A little lower there, so that might hurt my tip in a smidge, but that is okay. Let's see, make sure I got the right one. Nope, I did not paste it in the right one. There we go. Okay, that'll help that. Putting in JDM STI 204 AVCS map in it? No. Why would I do that? Some shit down here. It's hard to get to these connectors. There's some stuff in the way. There we go. Alright, let's flash this bitch. Definitely would not put the JDM S204 AVCS map in this car. Got a high compression 2-liter with a USDM VF and a top mount on US fuel and aftermarket exhaust and downpipe, etc. That would not be relevant for this car. There would be no point in doing that. Needs a fucking S204 transmission though. If I had enough fuel there or not. That went a lot quicker into open loop. I like that. That was better for sure. Still, not quite enough fuel on tip-ins. This I'm slowly putting the throttle in right there. Ooh, that's had a lot of boost. That's exceeding. Looks like it exceeded the map sensor even. Yeah, I think that boost line must be off. Wasted duty cycle goes to 0 and it's still at 20 plus pounds of boost. So that needs to be adjusted, or needs to be figured out. Because that's not going to work. 0% duty cycle giving us 20 something pounds of boost. That's a quick way to end the life of the engine. Usually not showing EC flash. No, just showing ROM Raider. Doesn't matter, I can show it too. Let's see, I just don't know where to put it with ROM Raider up. Add screen, application, color, display, game. Where's it at? Where's window capture? Window capture, there it is. ECU flash. ECU flash, okay. There it is. I need to shrink this guy. probably just crop out the table names, since that's just gonna take up space. Go like this. And then I gotta do what? I gotta shrink it down a little bit. Then you can't see that. You can't see that shit. You can barely see these numbers. I got the dyno on here. Got this on here. Let's make this a little bigger now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna work. Those numbers are so small. They pull up a table, see what happens. Bloop. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. And that didn't come up. Oh, because it's another window. Yeah, see, it's not going to be something I could do anyways, because it won't capture the sub windows. It just captures the main window. So all you'll see is the log. And I can't do a display capture because then I can't do everything else. I mean, I guess I could do display capture. And then you only see the screens that I'm looking at when I'm looking at them. So if I was to get rid of have fun tuning them. Back later. See you guys. See you, dude. Have a good one. Let's see. What could I do? Yeah, I could do a display capture, I guess. Of course, when I go to this screen, then it's like everything. Just like a big old display capture. Okay, and we do that. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Okay, it's under all this stuff. It's been cropped. Crop it all. Okay, that's uncropped. Now we'll put it to the top real quick. There it is. That's what I expected to happen. Let me go to my see that might be enough of it. I have no way of knowing though. Let me pull up my YouTube stream here so I can watch it. I need to get my second monitor. My second monitor, however, is in my other laptop case. Alright, looks like that should work. I'm going to change a different app now. Go to ROM Raider. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Wow, it's a 20-second delay. Okay. Second delay. That should work better. All right, that looks better. Okay, cool. All right, let me get the wideband in the tailpipe. I think I forgot to put it in. Ooh, static. That has a big ol' spark. All right. I'm still not convinced this thing doesn't have an issue with the fuel pressure sensor being loud. Oh, the boost. I gotta check that. Why it's over boosting. Ow. Okay. Is there also an external on this thing? The fuck? The line is pulled off of the wastegate actuator and has a screw in it. I mean, if you want all the boost, you want all the boost, I guess. Ooh, it's fucking cold in here. Elaine, I need your help. I can't figure out why the boost control is not working. It's over boosting. What? Oh, you're watching? For what? So you unplugged it from the wastegate?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
To make sure it works.
Okay.
As soon as you said Elaine, I was like, oh, fuck, I know what's going on.
I'm like rolling it at 60 going, oh, that's 30 pounds of boost. Why is it doing that? What's going on?
Luckily, it's an easy thing.
Yeah, luckily I had no timing on it. It didn't knock when it hit boost. That's actually the surprising part. It didn't knock in the boost. It not going into it initially, but not in it.
Maybe it was solely it couldn't detonate.
No, it was Rich's balls. I have it set for 9 to 1.
Right, it can't knock if there's not fuel in it.
That's also true. Yeah, if it was... I don't. I don't think I have your tools in here like that, but I can check. I got, no. How about this one? No, there's no tools in here for that. There's just some wrench on the foot. Yeah, I'll go grab it. I'm on my way already. Jackass. I'm over here freezing my ass off and you're in a t-shirt.
I mean, I'm not excited.
Is this some sort of like... Are you guys gonna eat lunch anytime today?
I don't know.
And if you are, what do you want?
We're super behind in giant pile of garbage, so
You don't deserve lunch. Well, angry
the gods have not deemed me worthy.
angry tuners honk the horn a lot.
Do they?
Yeah.
What do you want?
So I don't forget, Chris, the old guy with the Civic, wants to put a new turbo on his car and wants you to tune it afterwards.
Yeah, I talked about it.
Okay, he asked me what day we can do it. I told him I wasn't going to set it up until I
He
checked.
said he wasn't gonna do it until like the spring.
No, he was asking me when can he get it.
Now he wants to do it now.
I told him, I said, there's some openings, it looks like a couple weeks from now. I
Yeah.
said, but I wanted to talk with you before we set.
Well, you guys don't have any openings till like the 22nd, anyways, right? 23rd.
Lane has all of next week booked up. The following week there is a couple spots open.
Yeah.
It's
Which would be the 22nd.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's also something I think Carson can do. I saw the turbo setup on there. It did not look.
It's not too bad.
No, it didn't look bad.
Yeah, it would have to
Lane
be.
actually already had the turbo out once. So.
Yeah, for the gasket. It would have to be that week, like the 20 something.
When you get done with this one or whatever, we can find it. I'll call it back. I told him a couple hours and give him a buzz. I
Okay.
just wanted to bring it up to you so I didn't forget about it.
Okay.
Freeze it in there.
It's cold.
Lane, you also wanted me to remind you forgot to hook the cruise controller up on that before Dom got here.
Hey, plug in that fan for me. Plug in that fan for me. God damn it. Oh, thank you. Much appreciated.
JDM car, JDM engine, Mission Motor Top.
Fuck out of here. All right. Now we'll have the correct boost. That's a big plus. What's your method on fueling? I've always tuned the MAF even when stock, so my fueling numbers in the open loop fueling map reflect my wideband. I think some just manipulate fuel table. Yeah, Sam. Well, that's trying to figure out how to say that without that's not correct. And the reason that's not correct is because there are other compensations on top of that open loop table. Depending on what year your car is, for example, you have a TPS enrichment value in there. So there's a TPS enrichment, and that enrichment is applied on top of that. There's several other things that are applied on top of that. So expect it to be the same is incorrect. On top of that, that value is really more of a fuel command than an AFR target. So that table, you're kind of commanding a fuel amount rather than AFR target. So, like for example, I explained this with the evap compensation. When the evap solenoid opens up, your target, your commanded fuel, goes to like 17, right? But 17 is not your AFR target. 17 is your fuel mass command for the fuel system. That's the number that's being commanded the fuel system to tell it how much fuel to put in the engine, because it knows it's getting fuel from other sources, being the evap and all that. So I don't do what you just said. But when there are huge discrepancies, then there's definitely issues. But if you look at a 16-bit ECU, they often come with 9 point something to 1 in the open loop table, but that's not what you get from the factory. That's not what you get and all of that. And it's not because it's an error in the MAF scale. It's because it's other compensations are being laid on top of it. So I'm going to use the bathroom. I hope that was a good enough explanation. want to expand on that a smidge more, because the reason I waited this long to say anything was because I didn't want to be like, you're wrong, right? And with this ECU, I mean, these things, it's barely an ECU, and you can get away with a lot. So the reason that I think that is fundamentally incorrect doesn't impact this ECU drastically, but in other cars, especially automatics, that'd be bad. And the reason for that is that in most other ECUs or in automatic transmission vehicles, the torque input into the ECU is very frequently off of the MAF scale. And so the MAF tells the transmission how much power the engine is making. And so in this case, where the factory 2-liter fuel map says 9-to-1, and we end up getting 10-8 or whatever it is in a stock car, if this was automatic, and then I said, oh, well, I need to match my fuel map, and I want it to give me 11.5, and then I start pulling the MAF scale down to get to that ratio, then what I'm doing is I'm reducing the torque that the transmission thinks that it's getting. And that affects a lot of things, but one of those being pressure, right? That's shift times, clutch pressures, things like that. And so what you get them doing is creating a situation now where the transmission is improperly shifting for the torque created, and burn it up. You can burn it up from low clutch pressures, shift pressures, extended shift times, things like that, because it's not thinking it's getting the torque it's getting. And when in fact, you've actually increased the torque above what it would have got anyway. So now you've raised the torque the transmission is getting and lowering what it sees. So on this 16-bit manual car, that method is fine because there's nothing else that really gives a shit about it, as long as those other compensations don't turn off for some reason. So when you look at a stock 207 map, a lot of them have commanded fuels in the 8s. I think I've seen 8.5 on some of them. Clearly the car is not running 8.5 to 1. That would never work. So what other compensations are there that have not been uncovered in the ECU that are laying on there? Or did a person apply a multiplier incorrectly when they wrote that definition file, which absolutely could be the case. I mean, it's open source stuff. It's not OEM supported, you know. I mean, the injector scale alone, like I described earlier, is already part of it. The mismatch of table names that are incorrectly labeled, and you end up getting a TGV closed instead of a TGV open map, and all that other kind of stuff. I just don't trust open source. To put it bluntly, I don't trust open source, and I only use it in this situation because it's a JDM ECU, and that's the option that I have. Yeah, that's all I have now is the OBS. I'm looking at you, talking to you. That's all I have. So there you go. But if we go to the stock one, let's see. Here's a stock. Let's see, what does it give me? This one is 9.3, 9.7. Like, it's not running 9.3. Like, it'd be misfiring like crazy if it ran a 9.3 air-fuel ratio. Clearly, that's not the case. And so, clearly, there's other things that are in play that are affecting it. And all of those things that are in play affecting it are not available to us. Or, like I said, did they screw up their multiplier? 14.7 is 1 lambda. That's the beginning of it. And so that part that's basically going to be the intercept of their equation, right? They're going to put an equation on the factory values, because the factory values are not going to be in AFR, right? It's going to be most likely in lambda, and even then it's converted to a hex file. So we're going to have a bunch of digits that represent 14.7 or 1 lambda. And so their equation is going to be MX plus B, and the intercept is always going to be 1. So that part's going to be correct. 14.7 is going to be 14.7. That's going to be easy. But then did they apply the wrong M, right? The multiplier on the way down to it, and the actual air-fuel target is not 9.3. It's actually 10.8, right? I don't know the answer to that because I haven't spent time going through the hex file and seeing what kind of multiplier they did, and they may not have understood what the ECU wanted. The ECU, this might not even be an AFR target. This might be it would still be AFR technically, but a fuel mass ratio, right? And so, which I guess was technically is lambda really, but the factory ECU was written by Hitachi, I think, for this year, or maybe it's JX Denso, I forget which. This year's Denso, yeah. And then some American nerd decoded it as best he could and put it into the software so that we could use it. So it's the software is not made by the people that made the ECU. This is not the software they use to program the ECUs right at the factory. It's not the way they do it, and so we don't know for certain if some of these tables are even 100% correct, or if they do what they do. And so I don't think it's a good idea, especially on a car with a known mass airflow sensor scaler, to go and make drastic changes to the MAF calibration to hit some arbitrary number that's just based on some equation that somebody did to translate lambda, which has been translated 4 other times in the ECU or from the hex file to what is displayed on our screen. I don't think that's a good idea, especially if those compensations that make it leaner to hit those targets don't work sometimes. Turn off, turn on, whatever. I just don't. So no, I don't go and try and make my wideband and that match. On top of that, the wideband is not the AFR in the engine. Your wideband is not giving you an accurate AFR of what's going on in the engine, plain and simple. You have carryover and overlap one way or the other based on the differential pressure of the engine. For example, if you're in the mid-range where boost is higher than exhaust back pressure, you're going to carry fuel and air into the exhaust, and that fuel and air is going to burn in the exhaust. And that's not going to be the exact same ratio of burning in the chamber, because the fuel, you lose some of the fuel immediately because that's the beginning of the charge. So you actually often will run a different AFR in the cylinder than you are at your wideband, especially in the mid-range. And that's a big issue that a lot of tuners have discovered, is when they're tuning high horsepower cars and they're in like a medium to low boost range, they'll have an AFR that looks like it's right and the car's misfiring. And they're like, what the hell, right? It's because they have so much overlap flow that they're carrying a bunch of their fuel charge out of the engine into the exhaust, and it's burning in the exhaust, and they're like, well, my AFR looks good. Yeah, but that's not what's in the engine, right? That's totally different. So the wideband is not the perfect indicator of what's going on in the engine. It's only somewhat close. And not just that, but the wideband is also the result of all 4 cylinders with however much carryover they have, which depends on each cylinder, because the dogleg cylinders carry over less and overlap than the other ones carry over because they have more restriction on the exhaust side. And then you have, sorry, someone's waving at me. And then you have what each cylinder gets for its charge value based on just injector differences, airflow differences in the header, airflow differences in the head, airflow differences in the intake manifold, and then you have an average AFR at the tailpipe. Well, the further that wideband is, the more it's going to be affected as well. Do you have a slight exhaust leak somewhere? Is it post-turbo? Is it in the middle of an expansion where the temperature's changing rapidly? There's a bunch of other things that go on. So like that wideband that isn't necessarily that accurate, and you can have huge differences. Luckily, the EJ is not as bad as, say, an LS or a small block, where the cylinders are full points off or full numbers off, like 11 to 13 between 2 cylinders is the air-fuel difference. But you're going to see 12.3, and you're like, fuck yeah, 12.3, that's what I want, right? Because that's NA, that's what I want. But in actuality, you got 11 on one and 13 something on the other. The difference is drastic on a lot of engines from cylinder to cylinder, and the EJ is not an exception to that. It just luckily is a little tighter. So even then, the wideband is only telling you, part of the story. So I don't think that's the right way to do it. Those are all the reasons why. All right, stew log. I let this thing warm up a lot. I get some time to learn some stuff. Our fuel learning right here is 2.3%. I like that. It's not a drastic learning. I would rather it was like negative 2% because I do like him to be pulling fuel instead of adding fuel. My tip in leanment there, like I call it in leanment because before I was getting lean trends as I was tipping in. It's reduced now. It's not as bad. So the changes that I've made were relatively good. But see right here, if I tip in, yeah, see that was good 8 to 10 before. So that's way closer. I'm very happy with that. And what screen am I on? I'm on my speed screen. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go to graph. Let's do a poll. I've got boost. I've got wideband. I've got everything hooked up. Hit my login button and go. All right, that was a nice wastegate boost pull. You saw the wastegate duty cycle was 0 through that region. I'm looking at my graph now. Air fuel, it was smidge lean at that 3,800 RPM range, even though it was supposedly in open loop there. It's not quite getting as much fuel as I think it should right there. Because that was what? 7 pounds? Looks like it's around 7-8 pounds at 30-something hundred RPM and a little lean spike there. Let's see. Let's take a look at that log. Look at this dynograph again. So here's our boost here. Let me bring up my cursor. See if I can show you guys. So right here, I've got 6.8 according to the dyno, and 3,800 RPM. But my air fuel was 12.7. Now, that's not excessively lean by any means, but I know the target was lower than that. But also, there's that difference in what we're seeing with the fuel map to what we get in the end. But does the difference have this waver to it? You see it goes rich a little bit as the boost comes in. Then the boost falls a little bit. And then that's because the wastegate duty cycle, it has some wastegate duty cycle on the bottom, and then it's got 0 up top. Because I was checking some stuff before, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be a step in there. And so the rise in load gave it the richness, and the decrease in load gave it some leanness. So that looks like that spot is probably just from the decrease in boost right there. The reduction in load created that. So you probably hit a little bit of wall wetting on the alignment side. A reduction in manifold pressure resulted in a reduction in fuel to the engine. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that, but we're gonna make this boost come up and go flat a little bit, and we're gonna see if that eliminates that behavior, and that would confirm to us that it is in fact some wall wetting enrichment or enleanment in that case. All right, so that's cool there. Awesome explanation. Thank you. Sorry for saying this. No, you're good, man. I and like I said, I don't want to be like wrong and that kind of stuff. And so I thought about it as the right way to say it. And I want to make sure that you have the explanation. Not just some guy going, "Yeah, I don't do that, man. Yeah, that's not right." That's not fair to you guys. And I'm not here to bring ego. I'm here to bring information. So, thank you for understanding. Am I loud enough? My mic pickup here on the screen shows my values are a little low, but I know that I can peak it out sometimes, and so I don't want to peak it on you guys. But if it's not quite loud enough, let me know. I'll bump up my thresholds a little bit. Let's see where they're at right now. Yeah, right now my thresholds are flattened out, actually. It could be a little higher. Let me add a couple dBs to this anyways. We'll do that. See how that is. Okay. I had the same motor in 07 WRX. AVCS feels a little like VTEC, but better with boost. AVCS feels a little like VTEC, huh? Well, it shouldn't feel that way. I mean, boost should feel like VTEC. But AVCS definitely should not feel like VTEC. That concerns me that potentially you have an issue with the solenoid and it's making the cams not move in a controlled manner like they're supposed to. That would be weird if the AVCS felt like VTEC. Like, 'cause it's not. I mean, when you add AVCS down low, you increase torque by raising your compression ratio and increasing a little bit of overlap, or a lot of overlap when you get into like the mid-range and you have like 25, 30 degrees on it. Both should be together. And then as the boost comes flying in, the AVCS should go down, as assuming the back pressure is coming up on the engine. So the AVCS shouldn't feel like anything. You shouldn't notice the AVCS unless it's off to on. Like if it's cold and the VTEC, goddamn you, the AVCS is not working, then you'll notice that the turbo is laggier, and it gets off the stop sign slower. It doesn't have that torque. And then when it activates, you'll feel the torque gain from the increased compression ratio and the faster spool from better expansion and all that. So in those cases, then, I would definitely feel the difference between the two. But it shouldn't be like while you're doing a pull, it changes and you feel a rush. That would not be correct. So I don't know what you know what? Let's do this. I have no idea if that helps any. That should help some. And then when I get rid of this, you can still see me in my expressions and see what's going on. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to get my log viewer. Let's see. It's not Mega Log Viewer. I don't want that one. I want the other one. There it is. What is that table? What? Is it changing the color on me? Okay, that's the pressure. We expect to see that. And then here's my timing. Oh, yeah, because of reduction. All right, so comes in, timing drops the boost goes down, timing goes back up. 26 though. It's a high compression 2 liter. That might be a little too much. And then it drops as boost comes up some. It's pretty flat, actually. That's kind of surprising how flat that is. Let's look at the dyno graph and see what that supports as far as that'll tell us if whoopsie, I didn't want that. If the timing is incorrect or not. Okay, no, the timing looks fine. Power's increasing nicely with RPM and going up a little bit with boost. Yeah, that's not bad. It does fall off right here all of a sudden. Boost flattens, but that drops a little too much, so it might actually be low on timing, honestly. It might be low on timing up here at this higher RPM. Okay, so I'm fine with that. Let's go back to the log. Closed loop fueling target. We're not doing closed loop fueling, but I'll look at it anyways. Sure enough, there it is. All right, and all right. Like I said, I didn't have that other thing opened up. I thought it had. That's okay. I'll double check in my logging. Oh yeah, 16-bit. Duh. That's bass. I don't want the bass. That's not what I want. This doesn't have it. See, here's the map enrichment. That's like, what's the map say? It doesn't really do me a lot of good. How do I have it? Okay. I couldn't feel much difference between my AVCS, but I could see the difference in my airflow numbers when logging different degrees. Or yeah, that's expected. Good. Okay. I thought you said it feels like VTEC, so I was confused. Oh, you're a different person. Oh, you're Sam. Okay. That's surprising to me. Like, you should down low, you should definitely feel it, and then up top, you should feel it too. Like, you should definitely, like, if you had it all at 0 and then you put in a tuned AVCS map, you should absolutely notice that it leaves a stop sign way quicker, that it gets in the boost like 1,000 RPM sooner, and then that it makes like 40 more horsepower on the top end. You should definitely notice that. The fact that you didn't is honestly kind of surprising, because it's what it's for. It's what it does, and it always makes a big difference. To me, I always notice a big difference. So, all right, let's put some wastegate duty cycle in here. Let's go 35. Let's see what 35 gives us for boost. And I'm just going to taper it in like this, just for S&Gs, and then we'll see where it goes. I wonder if I could do that experiment. I should do that experiment. Let's do that. Let's do that really quick. All right, this is going to take a while, but this, save that guy, let's go back to it, put this one back in, whoopsie, yeah, all paste, and then we'll save this as the file, so I gotta worry about that shit later. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna flash, let's flash no AVCS to this one. Shit, where'd I put it? I moved folders. Oh, it should be JDM ROM folder. There we go. Okay, no AVCS. Let's do that. Okay, let's flash this bitch. We're gonna, and you see there, I got two maps, exact same map, exact same wastegate duty cycle. All I did was remove AVCS on one versus the other. I think it's gonna be a pretty good experiment, right? What time is it? Do I have time to do this shit? Yeah, I got time. Come on, key. There. God damn it, there's a bunch of wires down here. I hate it. It drives me crazy. And their blue and their green connectors are hidden behind things. That's unfortunate. Usually it's like a bra back in high school. I could do it one-handed behind my back without my eyes closed, you know, kind of thing. But this has got way too many wires down here to do. Okay. Come on. All right, while that's going on, I'm gonna change my dyno pull start. Let's make sure that's at the right place so we can see the difference immediately. Let's make sure we're in the right zone of the pull. There we go. Undo the green connectors. Come on. There we go. All right. Okay. So I wanted to do what? I wanted to connect here, Okay, let's go to the dyno. Let's see where this RPM started at. Okay, so it started there, so I'll make it start earlier. Much earlier. Let's try that. Okay, clear this. Boost is on there. I don't want to use horsepower here. I'm going to use torque. And we'll set it at 300. Like that. That should work. I'm logging. All right. Oh, that's wrong gear too soon. Might have lowered that start speed a little too soon. Let me drive around a little bit first and just get it going. Actually, we're going to do one. I'm just going to do one because the IAM hasn't gone to 16 yet because I left it at 8. So I'm just going to do a half a pull here, third, and then go to fourth. All right, there we go. IAM's at 16, so now we got a pretty equivalent starting point. Okay, it's kind of a little bit of a boggy start here. All right, so that was no AVCS. All right, double check. Yep, no AVCS. Max was 2 and 3, so that's just going to be a difference in the time belt flexing and all of that. What happened to my fan? Might need to do this again. Double check. Yeah, that one went out. It fell out. Alright, that might not be a fair comparison because the intercooler fan came unplugged and I didn't notice it. Give it a few seconds to cool down that intercooler and we'll do it again. We'll do it again, make sure it's a legitimate test. What I want you to notice on this though is that since we did 0, our horsepower is pretty high. Pretty high for 15 pounds of boost, and that's what you would expect, right? Because when we make our AVCS curve on the top end, it's zeros anyways. That's what it's going to be after like 48 or 5200. It's going to be zeros. So we would expect that pull to give us more horsepower than the other one, but everything below that is going to be the question. I mean, I guess it depends on where the peak horsepower happens to. It happened at 58 on this one, so. It's going to be around where it should drop to 0, so it might not give us quite the peak, but we should see more at 7,000, for example, right before the red line hit, than we saw, or than we will see with AVCS. No, because it's still 0, 0, 2. What am I trying to say? You'll see. That's what I'm trying to say. But we're going to do another one with no AVCS, because most of these gains are going to be on the bottom end, right? If I locked it at 20, let's see, that was a bad start. If I locked it at 20, then you would see what I mean, where on the top end it would lose a ton of power. But this is going to be no AVCS to a tuned map. We could do a flat 20 across the board too. I guess that's... There you go. A cold intercooler helps. Having an intercooler fan is good. Okay. So that makes more sense. The intercooler was hot as balls because the fan was unplugged. Okay, so that worked out pretty well. Now, I'm going to let it idle for a few seconds here before I do a flash. I mean, I could do just a flat 20. Let's do that first. Fuck it. Fuck it! We'll make another one. We'll take the no AVCS one, open AVCS table on it. And then we'll take it and just do 25. Do 25. 25 across everything. 25. Whoopsie. Should I do 25? Should I do 30? Fuck it, let's do 30. 30. Alright. Jesus Christ. I used to have a switch, but I haven't done open source tuning in so long, I don't even keep it anymore. I think the switch broke. I just never fixed it, so I just didn't give a shit. Alright. Okay, that's our 0. With the 20, it should come in sooner, probably right about here-ish. We'll see it torque come up here. It'll peak higher through this spot here, and then it'll drop off harder towards 7, is what we should see. Now, I wish I could put a trace on there, and then we see how close my prediction is. But, not yet. I don't have that technology yet. I'm sure the technology exists. I'm not that savvy with it. There, where'd they go? There they are. Holy crap, there's too much stuff in here. Okay. Okay, so here's a 30. Obviously, I'm not going to start the poll until the AVCS is active. So I'll have to drive it for a smidge before the AVCS becomes active. Wrong button. There we go. Okay. Do some driving. I keep forgetting the fucking Nation Advanced Multiplier. I don't like putting it in 16. I like it to move around and do its job. Evaluate the octane that the engine has in it and adjust the tune based on that. That's the function of it, and that's what I wish it would do. So I don't like leaving it in 16. The other reason for that is that, as you see here, AVCS was not active. And AVCS active and inactive has different timing requirements. But this ECU doesn't have a different timing map based on AVCS active and inactive. So if I set it at 16 and AVCS is not active, the timing is going to be too advanced in some areas, and it will create issues. And I don't want to create issues. Am I hitting the thing? I am. God damn it. Trying to hit the thing. Oh, wow, look at that. Wait, the AVCS is not even working. What the fuck? Oh, because I'm in a different gear. That's why. I'm like, wow. I was in a different gear, so those thresholds are going to look wrong. There we go. Now it's active. Okay. So, let me fix this dyno graph. All right, we're looking at pink. Pink is the one. Come on. What the? God damn it. Why is nothing working? Okay, well, when I hit this button, it's supposed to... Okay, it's not working. Oh, because I'm in the middle of a freaking poll. That's why. Oh man, that was the wrong button now. Okay, which one was it? This one? Was it 8 or 7? Which one was it? It was the red one, 8. Okay, so we'll hide this. There we go. There's our old one. Alright. Back to my logger. Reset all my stuff. Now the ignition as well is still at 12. It's not even at 16 yet. So maybe we'll do 2, maybe not. We'll see. Wow, that's not as drastic as it usually is. And that might be because the table's so damn, the turbo's so big compared to the little 2-liter. But even then, usually it's like 1,000 RPM. Let's do it again. We'll let it cool off. Let it cool off, and then we'll flash the tuned table. God damn it. Someone's at my house. Let's do it one more time. Well, we got the torque spike that I was talking about. We got that going for us. So the torque did peak in this area where I said the torque would peak. And I want to remind you, this is torque, not horsepower either, right? So horsepower is in the shape. Boost came in earlier, but not as early as I usually see with AVCS. That's really surprising, honestly. That is really confusing. When I say surprising, I'm more confused than anything, because that is definitely not what usually happens. Especially on rotated kits, we see 1,000 or 1,500 RPM faster spool with without AVCS. So that is a little intriguing. But you can see that adding 30 degrees increased torque down low, 110 to 91. So about 20 pounds of torque. Right, we got about 20 pounds of torque through this whole range here. And that's even with only a little bit more boost in this region. Here's 2 pounds to 2.8 pounds. So I only had a little extra boost in this low end. Right, you see very minimal gains in boost down here, less than 2,500. But what we can see is we got 20 foot-pounds of torque. Now you can definitely feel 20 pounds of torque. Like, you can definitely feel that driving a car off your stop sign. I mean, especially when we're talking from 90, 20 foot-pounds. I mean, we're adding, was that 25% almost? Right, and almost 25% torque to the engine. I guess probably about 22 and change, huh? But anyways, you know, adding a fifth, at least a fifth of the amount of torque to what the car has. So you would definitely feel that through there. Now that might be affecting the dyno readout a bit, because now there's more torque coming in, and so the dyno is going to, because this dyno operates on a ramp rate, you'll see that. So it'll, instead of being a fixed load, it's a ramp rate, and so it'll control the speed at which it goes up, and that will affect where the boost threshold is. So that's kind of a bummer. This, if I started this poll a little bit later, I think the boost would probably end up coming in sooner. Like if I did the start speed here, for example, I did 42 and then made this like 2 seconds, I think we're going to have like a lot more boost right here than we had before. So that's one of the issues with a dyno that has a ramp rate. Instead of simulating just a weight of the car, that's definitely an issue with the dyno. So let's do one more, fixed at 30. It made less power, but not nearly as much as I thought it would make. But you can see here on the top end, we lost 10 foot-pounds of torque. Above 55-ish here, we lost 10 foot-pounds of torque. It starts falling off. And if we carried this to 8, it would be even more drastic. But yeah, I'm actually surprised at how little of a difference that is. It's usually quite a bit more of a difference than that. Oh, what happened? It's already there. It's 45 and we're high altitude. I don't know what the fuck you're doing that for. Oh, look at that. But we did. We got more boost there, and that was starting to pull just a few hundred RPM later. We got more boost here. And look at the increase in torque right there. Even with that tiny bit more boost, man, that's another freaking, what was that, 40 pounds? 30 pounds of torque right there? Okay. So let's do that. Let's go to 45. And then see what it does. So yeah, we picked up a lot through there. Some of that's boost. Obviously, look at the increase in boost right here. What that did, though, is that showed how at a slower ramp rate, we didn't change the ramp rate. We just raised the RPM that it started. But it, how do I describe this? Because I held it at a higher RPM for a little bit longer, that really allowed the AVCS to really benefit the spool of the turbo. The turbo had more time with more torque than it had before, and therefore more air and fuel in the engine than it had before with zero AVCS. And then that means that the turbo came on quicker with more mass leaving the engine and everything else. So you can really, especially in the higher gears, get a tremendous amount of response where you didn't have it before by having AVCS, because in higher gears your ramp rate is slower. So like if I slow this ramp rate down to 120, then the boost is going to be down over here, right? So that AVCS allows that turbo to respond quicker, whereas if it was zero, it would sit there longer and longer before it came to the same amount of boost. So it creates a faster response on the turbo. And unfortunately, a ramp rate based dyno isn't always the best way of showing that. If it was a fixed roller weight, that would really be a better way to show how much quicker the boost comes in with AVCS for sure. But this isn't a fixed roller weight, this is a ramp rate. But with a fixed roller weight, that would be a much more apparent difference. But regardless of that, let's finish it off. Let's go. Actually, let me verify my air fuels first. Let me verify my air fuels. When we added the boost. Boost comes in, and air fuel goes down range too. Nice. Looks great. I could probably use a little bit more right here. There's still a smidge that probably needs to happen right here in this range. It's not unsafe, but it could definitely use some more. At 3 pounds, being 13.5, I'd rather see it be 12s. Honestly, like 12.5 through here. I'd rather see it right through this region before it dipped down. So I'll let that reach that a smidge. But I'm not going to do anything. We're just going to flash the map with this AVCS curve on it, which is this one. So I got to take this. I got to stop this one. And take this guy and put this one. Where's the other one? Can't even find it anymore. Where'd it go? There it is. There we go. Yeah, I think that'd be a way better test for a dyno jet versus the dyno dynamics. I think even a Mustang would be better because Mustang simulates a load. It doesn't do just a ramp rate. It simulates a load on the tires. So that might be better. There's definitely notice on the street more than that. More than this displayed with that whole 20 plus foot-pounds of torque, which obviously you would feel. You'll definitely see it on the street even more because the turbo comes in a lot sooner. But you still get an idea for it. 20 foot-pounds is nothing to sneeze at. Adding over 20% to an engine is never anything to sneeze at, especially out of boost or at low RPM. Wait, he said it was 0 AVCS. It was active. 31. I first went to 0 after 4,500. Oh, that's interesting. Because the tune definitely had 30 all the way across. So I flashed this guy, and it had 30 all the way across. That's weird that it popped over to 0. I mean, that'd explain why the power went up. Yeah, that'd explain why the power was so high. Because I figured it should drop a lot faster than that. They usually do. Let's see. Which one is this? Is this the AVCS table one, or is this not AVCS? Let's go here. 2D. Oh yeah, 30 here. And then dropped off. Okay. Did I lose neutral position switch? Oh, that's why. Neutral position switch is twitching between neutral and not neutral. So that killed the AVCS. Yeah. Good catch. But yeah, that's why. So neutral position switch is not reading correctly, or losing it during the polls, and that makes the AVCS system turn off. Well, thank you for noticing. I was like wondering why it was such different than what I expected. Yeah, trippy. So this guy is not happy. Let's see what's at now. Neutral position right now is 1. Oh yeah, I'm in gear and it's jittering. Okay, so I will hold it down. Oh man, I bet that's why it felt weird on the last tuning session. I will I'll see if I hold it in gear if it helps any. Nope, it's doing it again. Looks like it stayed in that time, though. Neutral position is 0. Yeah, it should be 0. Then it flicks 1 up here, up top, which is when the AVCS has fallen. Oh no, that's fallen a little early, but it's falling because it failed. It's not too bad though. It's in the 20s, so it didn't kill it as bad as it could have that time because it waited until it got to this higher RPM. So at least I got that benefit out of it, and it's gonna be 0 up top anyways, so that's good news. Okay, let's clear this. Hit that. Hit this guy. Okay, I let out of it, obviously. Yeah, I definitely don't like that switch cycling though, because that affects a lot of stuff. Be nice, Anton. Okay, that worked okay that time. That worked all right. It held in long enough. Where'd my thing go? Okay. Why does it stop at 65? What the hell is going on here? My dyno screw up on me again. Where's my real limiter at? I thought I had it at 7,000. It's at 8,000. Oh! Speed cut. That's right. It's a JDM ECU. So the speed cut is, yeah, there it is. Right there. That's why. I'm like, that's weird. I should be revving this thing out more. Yeah, speed cut. There we go. All right, I'll fix that. That'll help with that some. Am I on the right map? No. Let me close this thing. I don't like. No. Close. Close. No. There we go. There we go. That's better. I'm like, man, that's weird. I think I had the rimmer set at 7. Did I say yes or no there? My brain kind of left me for a second. Okay. I do need to raise the boost though. Because we're at what? 14 pounds? Let's throw a little more at it. Let me look at my log with wastegate duty cycle versus my boost pressure. Wait, where'd it go? There it is. Get rid of this. Okay, so 35 is a little low, and it stays at that 35 the whole time. AVCS did its dip though, look right there, 7, then back up to 23, so that neutral position switch is causing problems. So that's got to be fixed for sure, or the owner's going to have a hell of a time with it. Why does it feel funny? That's going to definitely affect the way it feels. So neutral position switch has to be fixed on it. Okay. Alright, so it's coming in, it's dropping too far initially. So I'm going to go with a 50. And then it doesn't need as much up here as it has, or as it shouldn't need as much as 50 because we're not going to be doing a ton up top. This thing's high compression, so I don't want to slam it with a bunch of duty cycle on it. Really, that's not totally correct way of doing it either, that way there, because if you look at our boost target, our target right now is set to 12 at red line, and we're hitting that no problem at our current 35. So we need to raise that. That's a big drop. Let's do this. Alright, that'll help raise power. That, I don't think that's too tall right there. Let's get that knocked down some. There we go. And 24. Let's do a smidge more right here. 24, we showed that we can make around 7 pounds, looks like. Or no, about 3 pounds, so that 10 is too much. At 31, we're not capable of 17. I don't want a bunch of integral wind-up, so I'm going to knock this down a smidge. This is a bigger than the stock turbo. Do that, so I don't suffer from wind-up. And then here, like I was saying before, my target boost at 48, so half is 7 pounds. That's basically gate pressure. So I don't need 30% at gate pressure. That's just too much. But we don't want it to go to 0 because we do want it to be active. We want to respond to what we're doing. So we do one of these numbers like that. There we go. Did I stop? I did. Ooh, I think I got it. I got it one hand, no looking. Luckily we're in the right spot this time. You know how I feel about Bugeyes, Anton. My phone's blowing up. We can check some shit. After that, so, okay, sounds good. Sounds good, honey. Interesting. Raw ECU value. Yeah. All right. Give some time. Let any learnings happen. Let any post-start conversations go through to maintain the between initial and max duty cycle table. 10%? That's so not necessarily. That depends on what you give it for authority. I don't know where. So I don't know if open source has it or not, right? But where is it? Right here. So here's the 10%. And that's just for the integral. So you can keep it there or not, basically. But the integral won't go up more than that. Now, you still have proportional. So if it's low and you max integral out, proportional's still going to have some on there. But realistically, yeah, I mean, you should be within some range. But because this is 10 doesn't mean my max has to be 10 above it. It could be a totally different value. I mean, it could be 2 above it, or it could be 12 above it. Right, it just depends because there's other corrections that lay on top of this, right? You still have temperature corrections that come in and will affect your initial in all of that. So it could be higher than your base anyway. So they should be close-ish, but it doesn't have to be 10. Is basically what I'm getting at because there's other corrections that are involved in that. But obviously, if your max was say 60 and your base was 20. And you do another pull, and you're like, oh, I didn't hit my 60. Well, yeah, you're not going to hit your 60 because your initial was 20, right? It's like right here, I got 50s in my initial, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine because I can still go down or up or whatever, and then other compensations still lay in there. This is my starting point. But here, at red line, I only get to 40, so I won't hit this 44. I can hit 44 here because that one's a 35, but I won't hit the 44 here, and that's fine because right now I'm going to run this and I'm going to see what kind of response I get, and if I find that sure enough it didn't do it, then yeah, I'll bump this up some right here. So we'll see. But there's no requirement for me to be like, oh, let's make it 10 right now. Obviously if I don't hit my targets at 40 at red line, then yeah, I need to raise that up. But also watch and take air temp compensation because that comes off of it, right? So this guy can add to it or come off of it. So here at cold temps, it pulls out. So you got to watch that. Coolant temp. You see this one? Oh, it's 0 on this car. That's cool. Usually I dump it off like minus 20 in this range or more, like that. So if the car's not warm, the guy's not beating on it. All of my bass tunes have that on there, like for the Cobb stuff. This one's atmospheric pressure correction. This one should be adjusted and it's not. So where I'm at, for example, here, so what I like to do is either, it depends on how the ECU has it. Does it have negative? Yes, it does. So I'll have it pull some at sea level, and then I'll have it add some a little less than where I am. But then over here, I don't have it do anything because you could just overspin the turbo by trying too hard. But it's, watch my duty cycle. If my duty cycle is if my max is too high or I have this set incorrectly, then when they go to Colorado, they can overspin the shit out of the turbo trying, and you actually lose power up there if you do that too much anyways, because your back pressure is too high. All right, so IM is not at 16. That's a little better. That's a little better. Obviously, not being a 16 will impact the low end a smidge by having less timing for less torque. So the next pole, I should have a little more low end than I did. Now, I don't like how low I'm starting the poles here because how I explained earlier how it affects the boost control system. So I'm bringing this back up to where I had it before when we were doing the earlier tests. I had it there, and I had this at 160. I changed this for the AVCS test. But that's where I like to have it, like that. Okay, so we see here 15. I'm pretty sure that was my target, right? At 75 was 15. And a half, 16 at 72. All right, so we'll check that when we do the log. We'll see if that's my limiting factor or if it's the turbo. Or if I was hit my target like I should have. Wrong button. So it came down and whoop, flattened out here. So that could just be that difference like we were talking about. Need to add a little bit. But I don't want to go crazy with this thing. Like I said, it's a high compression 2 liter. So you see I got it rich. I got it in the 10s up here up top. Because I want to keep it together. These things, they don't like all the compressions. Now look at that. That's going to be an issue. That is way too big of a drop up there. So I'm going to look at the log and see what we can find. What's going on there? Is that a timing cap? Is that, did it just spin a bearing on the dyno? If like a bearing let go, it would do that. I'd probably listen to it. Nope, I hear the wideband right on the tailpipe, and that's it. So let's open this log up and see what's going on. Sometimes I have to adjust the dyno again too up top. It'll load it funny and make it fall off really hard. Right about here-ish, looks like maybe. All right, a little less here. Bloop. Okay. So my timing up here, it is 26, 25, 24. So from 6,000 to here, there's the normal 2 liter bump of a couple degrees around 62. And then it's pretty flat. I mean, it goes up some. 4 degrees and, oh, that's not bad. 4 degrees in 1,000 RPM or so. That's not too bad. So it's probably not that, but we could put a little bit up top and see if it carries better. That neutral position switch, though, is still... Well, that's not it. What's that one? What is that one? Another boost. Here's my timing. Is that my cam timing? That is my cam timing. Did it fucking do it again? It did it again. So it just sat 0 the whole pole. Yeah, so that means our neutral position switch. We're going to see a bunch of, yeah. 1. Set things to neutral. So I gotta remember to hold back on this shifter to keep it correct. God damn it. So that hurts the spool too. It shouldn't have caused the power to drop that much though. That red line. That shouldn't have done that. I'm going to extend the rollers a little bit. Sometimes the rollers, if it's a little bound up, it can do this. With the way the straps interface with the car, when you start to, and the suspension starts to move up a little bit, if they're just set a little funny, it'll cause it to load up. I think because the tires start to kind of pull in not a tangential direction to the rollers. So we'll move that a smidge to see that change anything. I'm also going to hold it and hold the lever back, see if we can keep it in AVCS mode. So no changes, just roller and hold back on the shifter. Fuel looks good, boost looks fine, everything looks fine. Wait, hold on lever. Hey, that looks better. That looks more like it should. Let's bring that last one up again. There we go. That looks way better. Okay. Still falls kind of hard after 66, but it's better than it was. Wouldn't mind it being a little flatter up here. It's a tough call at this point, right? Like, you worry about these old engines. At least I do. I mean, I hope you do. I worry about these old engines. I worry about them spinning bearings, staying together. We've had a few of them fail on the dyno. We have no idea how they were treated in Japan. We have no idea about a lot of stuff with them, you know, and the high compression. So yeah, wastegate duty cycle drops as programmed. So I could probably push it a little harder up top and see if I can get the power to carry a little more. Sometimes though, you get a big boost up top by zeroing out wastegate duty cycle. You zero it out and all of a sudden it drops back pressure and can carry power more. I don't think that would happen in this case, but sometimes it is extremely beneficial. Now this power number looks unrealistic. It looks high. Yeah. Looks a little high for this dyno. How's her air fuel? Is it just too rich up top? Is that why she's falling off hard? No. I mean, it is rich, yes. You know, I got it down in the mid-10s right here. So I'm gonna raise the boost a little bit up top, and I'm gonna pull a smidge of fuel out. Again, I don't want to destroy this engine. You know, it's not on my list of things to do today. So we'll start with the initial, like, was talking about that? So I have it set to go to 44. So I'm going to bring this to actually 40 and then give it, do I want to give it more authority on the top end than the 40 something? Yes, I do, because summer. So I'm bring this to 40. I should just do this and then do that. Like so. And then I'm going to add to this area because I want to make sure it can do it in the summer if it needs to. All right, that's another concern, right? We want to make sure that it can hit the targets when it's warmer outside. I'm going to go with like that. Like so. I don't like that spot being the same as that there. Okay. Okay, so I worked on the boost a little bit. I save frequently because things fucking fail all the time. Programs crash or whatever. Now you can see it's got a pretty big jump in fuel right there. So I'm going to lean out this whole lower section a little bit. So we're going to go almost half a point like that. And then I'm going to... so I'm getting really close to the computer here because I have bad eyes. Just kidding, they're not that bad. But they're not great. I'll linearize this right there. Fill in that gap. Clog that hole. And I'm actually going to add to this. I don't want that, whoopsie. I don't want that whole section to be linear. I want this to come down a smidge too and just kind of sit a little richer through here. And then a little richer like that. And then I want to take this spot, add a little fuel right there because this is the peak loaded area since it's got high compression. So add a smidge more back into this zone. Like this. Just want a little dip in the middle there. This low RPM high load, I want to have just a little richer of a dip in there. And timing wise, there's the 6,000 bump right there. Yeah, that's a pretty good timing ramp. I don't really want to be more aggressive than that. I'm fine with that. Okay. Ooh, just got zapped. Static. Oh my God, where'd he go? Oh! La 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 la. Oh wow, it fell over here. Okay. It's way back in here in this corner. I don't know how I did that. All right, Alpha, if you're still here, I'm going to show you that injector scale thing now that you can see it since I got the screen capture on. I want to show you what it does. Okay. So, if you're still here, I'm going to show you now injectors scaling. You go to Edit, Map, and go to, was it ECU raw data or raw ECU data? How was it written? Where'd you go? It's not alphabetical. Raw ECU value. 19. I'm going to close it and reopen it. 19. So, something isn't the same. I don't know what it is. Let's see what happens if I do something newer. JDM 10 STI. No, I don't want to do that. Let's do a USDM 10 STI. Okay. See? So it works on the 32-bit, but something in the 16-bit, the way they wrote it, is not right. I mean, that's definitely not what the ECU value is on this ECU. So somewhere they have compensations in the 16-bit definition that are wrong, or that are affecting things across the board, because that shouldn't be that way. That's not the value that should be in there. So something else has got to be affecting it. I mean, for one, just the fact that it says 19 has no decimals, there's like no significant digits. It seems very wrong. That's the right one? Yeah, that's it. Okay. So there. Or the 16-bit ECU in general. Could be the 16-bit. But even then, like, there's not enough resolution there. I changed my scale from 552 to 550 to 540 to 5, right? Like, that would be 19.8 or 19.5, 19.4, 19.3 or something, right? There'd be more significant digits in there to show the difference between 550 and 535. Because they wouldn't just go 18, 19, 20, right? That would be gigantic steps, larger than I was making in the scaler. So there's definitely got to be some other scaling that's just not correct. Otherwise, that wouldn't make sense. All right. All right. So I increased the aggression up top. I didn't add any timing because I didn't like how much I didn't feel like it had too much, but I didn't feel like it didn't have enough. But I did lean the fuel out a smidge. I had a little bit of boost across the board with some duty cycle on it. And yeah, let's see how it goes. I think it should be pretty good. I think this one's better. Oh yeah, hold down. Damn it. This neutral position switch. Even holding it down, it did it. I definitely leaned it out up top. Maybe a little too far. Yeah, see, it definitely leaned out up top. Definitely added boost. Why is this not working? I'm still doing the thing? Come on. Okay. This isn't working. What the hell? I am having an issue. It shows it on the screen. Yeah, this thing is freaked out. Bloop. Get rid of that. Try again. Like this in the front, please. Thank you. Let's bring it with that last pole. Boy, it's going slow. It's laggy. I don't think it's the network. Okay, so air filter here. It did richen up, like I said, where I want it to be richer. And it did lean out up top. Quite a bit. Probably a little more than I want. And then, man, this is not going well. But it's still a nice curve. I mean, that's what I expect for JDM engines. They don't peak at their high RPM that they run them to, which is what I think is hilarious. Is like the 207, the Spec Cs, and all those, they rev them out like crazy. But as soon as you raise the power output on them, the peak horsepower just drops down to this 65 area, less than $7 grand, And they're like, oh yeah, my rhythm is 9,000 RPM. It's like, why? The power is just tanking up there. So, just something to keep in mind. Yeah, AVCS turned off again in the middle there, even though I was holding down on the thing. So that's a problem. Because you see the switch right there, boop, disabled it. Oh yeah, it's a neutral to the whole area, didn't it? Yeah. Alright, I'm going to stop fighting with this thing because that's clearly just screwed up. I am going to add a little more duty cycle right here, though. I feel like it needs more right here to lift this spot up a smidge right through here. So I'm going to add 55 to 50. I'm going to add about 8% right through here and try and pick that up. But I'm not going to keep fighting with this thing. I'm going to add a little fuel back up top again and lift this up a smidge. That's my plan. Let me double check my load. Where's my load up there? That RPM it is. So there's 2.3. Yeah, 2.3, 2.3, 2.3. Yeah, see, 2.4. Okay, and my tables are like 2.8, I think, is what my peak is on the table. 1.0, 2.0, 2.3. Okay, so down here in the 2.0 section is where I need to add the fuel, and that explains why so much dropped off. Because when I hit it, I focused more on here, but in actuality, this is where we're on top. So it's coming up to here-ish, 2.5 to 0.4. It's coming up here and coming down. That's why it leaned out so much, because this is really where we're at up top and not up here where I did most of the changes. Well, I mean, I did do changes, but where I focused my changes. So that was an error. Linearize this spot right here like that. Yeah, that's what I want right there. Okay, I want that, and I want to add a little wastegate duty cycle here in that range to pop this up a smidge. I said about 8%, so let's do 61. Then I'm going to give it a little blend right there, and I'm going to leave everything else like it is. I got plenty of room there on the initial. 58. No, I need a little more right there. Wrong button. Let me tell you, sometimes it's a pain in the ass bouncing between systems, like trying to figure out what the hotkeys are in between systems. It can be taxing, forgetting, oh, this one's plus, this one is shift plus, this one is page up, this one is, up arrow, this one is, like, they're all freaking different, and it gets a little taxing trying to figure it out. Okay. So there. Alright, this is going to be the last pull after this flash, because I'm not going to keep fighting with this neutral position switch. Oh, you know what? Part of me still wants to do that 30 degree run again to show you how much the power drops on the top end. I don't think I have time for that, though. I can hold back on that switch and hold back on the neutral. that right now. Sorry. I gotta get this done. I gotta go start a standalone base map on a 2010 STI. And I don't have much more time to do it. I'll do it on a drive-by-wire car soon, because then we'll have a newer ECU, neutral position will work, and I can do it real time and not have to do it reflash base. I'll just do all that, and we'll do that test again. And maybe I'll just make a video just solely on that, because it's such a pain in the dick on this car. I got to find the green connectors up behind some shit. I got to do a reflash. I got to do the map. I mean, it's just, the test that should take maybe 3 minutes to do real time takes 15 to 25 it feels like to do it this way. So all right, see you, Sam. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'll do a more complete test next time too. Why I have too many windows down here now? I forget where I'm at. There we go. Power or torque? Yeah, that's power right now. Right. All right, do a half a pole. See if I can get this at 16. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. Maybe too much. Oh, that's not boost. That's horsepower. All right. Whew, I thought that was boost for a second there. I was like, oh shit, that went way higher. No, that wasn't that. God damn it, my software's wigging out of me again. I didn't change my weather back to the right stuff. It's gonna be all wrong. It's not 77 degrees, it's definitely 45. It actually is 60%, that's cool. And we're at 27 inches here. Did it work? 27, 45, 60. Yep, okay. Here goes. Oh. Oh, damn you! It is such a bad habit to hold a car in gear. I never do that because it's a bad thing to do. But I have to on this. I go like in gear and down to the right, and that keeps it from popping out as much. It's less sensitive that there. I keep forgetting to do it. Okay, down and to the right. Neutral position. Stay zero. Stay zero. Oh, AVCS. You can watch it zero itself out during the pull as it goes to 1. You watch the AVCS here go 0, and then back up to 30, then 0, and then this will flicker up and down. Try one last time, and then this is it. I'm not doing it again. That's all we're doing. Got it. There we go. Look at that. That's much prettier. That's a little better. Better here. One more duty cycle helped out there. AVCS staying active helped out everywhere. Yeah, that works. Oh, yeah, let's double check the air fuel since I did change that. It's just like I want it. It's just like I want it for this car. Looks good. Zoop. Very happy with that. All of that turned out. Bam. This car's gonna rip. Alrighty, yeah, so I will do that AVCS test at a later date on a car that's easier to do it on and behaves correct and doesn't shut down the AVCS mid-pole and all of that. So you guys can really see the difference because it really is dramatic, and as you saw there, it just wasn't behaving correct. So, and it's really big on like rotated turbo cars, so maybe I'll do that as well, a rotated turbo car, and you can watch how it's like two different engines. But overall, I'm happy with this. The torque isn't too high. It's a 2-liter. They don't do that anyways. But I think the owner is going to enjoy this car. And I think part of the issue is that he has solid mounts on this. And I think it's just, I can feel it shaking the shifter. And I think the shifter is shaking because, the shifter is between the body and the transmission. There's that post on the back. And I think it's vibrating it and causing it to trigger that switch. Or that switch is just worn out. Sometimes they get tightened at some point as well. Like somebody might tighten it with a wrench. They see it and they crush the washer. That washer is stupid thick on it, and it's that thick for a reason. So if the aluminum washer gets crushed too much on the switch, that'll throw off the reading and a few other things. So it's hard to say what it is on this guy's car, but this is a 5-speed, and it is not going to be a happy 5-speed for long, in my opinion. So anyways, I'm done. The graph looks good. I'm happy with that. It looks fine. I could have done a little less right here, maybe round this off a smidge, but that's hard to do when you have the boost coming in as hard as it's coming in right there. I prefer to round them off a little bit and just have a nice little arc through here. But it's easier to do when you have an ECU with more resolution than this one does. So that's my only complaint with the power curve right there. It maxes at 65 like before, like expected, but it's carrying better now as well. So it's got a good carry to 75, and that's really nice. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Not a bad little, 2-liter, little high compression 2-liter with AVCS. I like them. I think they're great motors, and I wish more people would use them. The guys that have the Bugeyes and the Blobeyes, the 16-bit cars, getting an AVCS 205, regardless if it's a 205 or a 207. Goes a long way, and unfortunately the 16-bit 205s are getting more and more rare, and they're harder to get, and now only the 32-bit 205s are available, and those don't work unless you go to a Link or an M-Tron. Then you can use those because we can change the trigger profiles in the ECU. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about which way to go in the future for your Bugeye or Blobeye. But AVCS really is good and better than that little test showed because of having so many AVCS issues. But I will definitely do a better test, and you will see the difference. It is really dramatic anyways. But thank you for coming back, guys. Thank you, Anton. You're very welcome. You're welcome, Al. But thanks for stopping by. Hope you guys have a good weekend. If I don't, I am going to stream tomorrow because tomorrow is a standalone tune with a link on a 2010 STI. So a 2010 STI link tune tomorrow. I think it's a stock turbo, but I could potentially do the AVCS test on that car tomorrow. That'd be a lot easier on that because it is full real-time tuning. So, yeah, I would say I'll probably do that tomorrow. So tomorrow, 2010 STI, link on the dyno, AVCS test, and all of that. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you spending your afternoon with me and not somebody else. Thank you.